I would just say put yourself first somehow. You do this job because you love it, you're really passionate about the league, but you also just have to realize it's like a sport league and you are a human. You are above that.
What do you think makes a good interview? So you mentioned one point about connecting with them and not taking yourself too seriously.
The connection, the comfortable, or maybe there's like 3 C's. Connection.
Don't follow the run sheet so strictly that when we're having a good conversation, it's sort of like this, that like keep the conversation flowing, because that's when you're going to get the real conversation and the best bit.
Burning out in this industry, because I think it's...
So what made you think of this? Are you burning out? Hello and welcome to TTC TV. This is a YouTube show by 2Times Creative. It's designed to help you dominate content creation while we're on the path to doing so ourselves. Darren.
Michael.
Welcome back to my lovely studio.
Your lovely home. And why not say it is a lovely home? Good to be back as always.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing on this lovely week? I'm excited to talk about our week because I've had a busy one. It's been very busy, work-wise, life-wise.
You're looking tan from the Gold Coast. Is that what you were?
I was going to say that was... Yeah, I don't even know how long ago that was.
Media day.
My tan's probably worn off, but I had no tan. We barely even saw outside, to be honest. But
no,
I'd rather that because I get burnt too easily.
True, we're not built for that. But I think what you're referring to is NBL Media Day. So we're going to cover that off. We're going to cover my personal brand photo shoot and video as well. My personal branding shoot. Yesterday, that was exciting.
For a client, not his personal brand shoot.
Yes, for a client, but it's all relevant, isn't it?
It is.
They're the two main topics, and we've got a couple of questions off the top, don't we?
We do. Let's get stuck in. I'll read the first one. Isaac, how important? Now, this is obviously very important, but how important do you think?
You're answering the question before you.
Yeah, well,
we're asking it.
Have a sneak peek before we get into it. But how important do you think media/social media content is for sporting associations? But
massively important.
Well, I think it's everything. Because it's your facing.
It's the facade. Yeah, it's the facade of your brand and business when you think about it.
Well, it's just like the facing image is what people see first. It's what people will go to. Like, I don't know about you, but if you ever see a new brand or someone tells you about a new brand, you're going to go to social media. Pretty much is the first thing to be like, it gives you an instant reaction of what it is. So it's massive. Really.
Yeah, it's the first point of contact in many ways. It's like your receptionist. It's like your front-facing... Well, it's your front-facing image, That's what I was trying to say before. I just couldn't get it out. Front-facing image is essentially what it is. So I think it's the power of content we always go on about, but really that's your biggest opportunity to reach the maximum amount of people in your audience from such a easy way, being online.
No, it is. I was just thinking back to like the time before social media. Like, isn't that so weird? Like... Was website usage just way up compared to what it is now? Like, is it just... It's quite fascinating to think that social media was never... it was obviously a thing in a very small way and stuff, but just like 20 years ago, what was the social media landscape like? It's pretty weird. It's pretty cool how the world develops, and it's kind of interesting to be like, what's the next thing?
Reflection of what we're so used to, I guess, but it's true.
Yeah, just like recency bias, we know social media is massive, but it's massive. If that's what people are going to judge you on straight away.
And also, not just judging, but like what your goals are, what you're actually trying to achieve. Obviously, with your question being a sporting association, you're probably trying to sell tickets, you're trying to build hype around a team, but that is almost borderline the first thing I think you should invest in after you've got the players on the field.
Well, it's how you sell yourself. It's how you sell your brand. It's literally everything.
Good question. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Isaac, for submitting that. You go to the next one.
Next one from Jamie. We've only got 2 this week, which is great. That's fine.
We're not 2 chosen ones. We were flooded.
Oh, yeah, sorry. No, Darren spent last night cycling through the inbox, 2xcreative@gmail.com. Spreadsheet, yes. What platforms would you focus on right now if you were just starting out as a creator? I love this one.
But it's just like, just one only?
Well, I think
the main one.
The first thing I was going to say is what you're trying to do, firstly. So
that's true.
You're going to be able to guess my answer, part of my answer for this one, aren't you? What's a platform that I don't shut up about?
Oh, LinkedIn.
I thought
you led me down a rabbit hole then. You're just like, and of course.
No. I think if you're... And this isn't just because I'm enjoying LinkedIn as of late, but I think if you're trying to make money from it or build yourself up, whether it's running your own business or a side hustle, I would focus on LinkedIn, put yourself out there, treat it like your sort of links into what I'm talking about, but your biggest opportunity to sell what you're doing through your personal brand. So talk about what you're doing, your skill set, show your expertise, And I guess LinkedIn, and I guess Instagram will always just be up there because it's the most people on it.
I was gonna say I think it will always be LinkedIn, but it'll always be Instagram. But LinkedIn is sort of like the professional side of being a content creator, because otherwise, I was gonna say anyone can have an Instagram account, and it's good. You can. That's what the great thing about it is. But if you talk yourself up on LinkedIn and actually talk about the numbers, talk about your ideas, talk about the strategy behind the Instagram content, I think it really comes across as being a much more professional content creator, and it shows how serious you are about it rather than just making cool things.
Yeah, and because not everybody posts on it, whereas I feel like everybody posts on Instagram to relate to your point. But
I think LinkedIn. That wasn't going to be my answer, but I don't know what my answer, because being a content creator is kind of like you have to do everything. Like you have to in a way. Many different platforms are important. Like,
I'm not sure you do though. Okay, I'm not sure you have to do everything, because
not everything, but multiple.
There's so many. You're saying because there's so many platforms out there, you sort of feel like you might have to put a bit of dip your feet into each.
Yeah, to test the market, see where your content's going to thrive. Like for example, you're not meaning, hey, I'm a content creator, I'm literally just going to use a website on LinkedIn. You probably need something else to actually put your work out there. But I think that's the fun part of it all, because everyone's content is different, and your best mate might be like, TikTok is where it's at, but TikTok might be awful for you. So you try YouTube, try something.
True, I mean, and that goes back to your purpose and your goal, because you would probably, depending on what field you're in of the creative world, you might have a better idea of what audience is on TikTok versus LinkedIn, for example. So if you're trying to get business and jobs, you're probably not posting the same content that you would on LinkedIn on TikTok. And vice versa.
I think what you said then is a good way to phrase it. If you're wondering what platform to focus on, just ask yourself what you're trying to achieve.
Yep. Always go back to the purpose and goal.
Yeah.
That's what I always do now.
Nice one. Okay. 2 times creative, always in sync. I'm
brothers in arms.
True, something like that. Michael's week.
Headline. No, let's get a bit crazy here. Let's go a bit crazy. Let's do your week first. Because it's a follow-on from last week.
Yeah, why do we actually always do yours?
It was just the run sheet, Darren.
We'll just scroll all the way down the bottom.
It's the beauty of the run sheet. We can change it how you want. But we touched on last episode that this was prior to you doing the NBL Media Day, and it's done now. So let us hear it. Yeah. How was it?
The beauty of it all. No, you alluded to Gold Coast, so great weather. I always laugh when people, like, the first thing people say about Gold Coast or anywhere, like,
weather.
It's just like, the weather will be good up there. It's like, cool. Anyway, the weather was nice. But no, media days are always cool. Like, I feel like they're always busy. And then on top of that, like, so for context, we do media day over 3 different days because there's 10 teams. You kind of have like most days were 3 teams. The last day was 4 teams. And then we also have preseason games afterwards. So it's pretty busy.
That's a big time.
So preseason games are more like a bonus towards, like, our focus is on media day, and the games are kind of just like a bonus in terms of capturing content. Like, if we have time to get down there, absolutely, always cool to do. But I put this in our newsletter, but I think my favorite part about media day is definitely the interaction with the athletes, because everyone always thinks about media day as like the time to capture all these cool content, and that's great. But I think it's the one time all the players are literally in the same hotel as us. It's really like it's cool. You just jump into a lift and you're bound to look up and be like, oh, it's so-and-so. And then the funny part is just like, if you've had an interaction with them before, you don't really know how friendly to be, but it's really cool. I really like the interaction side of things.
Do you want to give an insight to what you just said about being in the same lift and I guess accommodation as people with DJ Vasiljevic? Is that
I think
funny story?
So
you don't need to go the details, but just of a player.
No, that's a great example, because like, you literally go down to breakfast, you go down to anywhere, you see all the players mingling as well, which is very funny. But the DJ Vasiljevic story, so for anyone who follows NBL or NBA, even NBA, like, Montrezl Harrell, he used to be an NBA 6-man, all that stuff. So the time the news broke that Montrezl Harrell signed with the Adelaide 36ers in the NBL, pretty much everyone was in the same space. And I think I was actually off-site, but I came back right when it happened. And it was just funny, because I'm just like, I know everyone in this room is looking at this same, like, tweet by Olgun Uluc, who's ESPN's reporter. I know everyone's doing that.
Of a new player signing, Montrezl Harrell.
Of a new player signing, and even the team that signed him. Like, I know they're aware of it. And then I literally jumped into a lift with pretty much Adelaide 36ers main guy, DJ Vasiljevic. And it's just funny, like, I'm just like I'm just going to bring it up because I want to see what he thinks about it.
So it's his new teammate.
Yeah, sorry. So his new teammate. And I was just like, I don't know what I said. I'm just like, oh, obviously big news. They just dropped like literally just like seconds ago, kind of when I jumped into our lifts, and then he was funny. Like he was a bit like I think he heard of it, but I also don't. Like there was a bit of like a cloudy grey area, and then he was just like, "Oh, for us, oh right, yeah." And then so I kind of got the live reaction of what DJ thought of it all, and then it was like a 5-second, let's say 15-second lift interaction. But it was just a perfect example of how weird that media day, and we call it the Blitz, which is the whole preseason tournament. But it's just like a weird, cool vibe to be a part of that all.
No, that's really cool. I mean, when you said that, I'm just like, that's so real and raw, because you'd often think that, especially being a bigger name, like someone coming from the NBA, that his teammates would already know. But in the reality of these things, you hear about it in the NBA world all the time, that the players find out exactly the same way as we do.
I think just because it moves so quickly. Like, because sometimes, especially a situation like that, a name like that, I think you have to move quickly. So, and I actually don't know the background story to how these things work, but sometimes a reporter just gets it.
Yeah.
And that's your app. But
no, it's really cool.
Yeah. That was my favorite interaction, I reckon.
With your overall point of your favorite bit of the media day being interacting with the players, though, content question on that: do you think those relationships actually help you capture them throughout the season?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So do you reckon that's why, as content
why my
creators,
content's so good?
Oh God, yeah, no, that too. But do you think that's why, as content creators, we love building those relationships with the talent?
Yeah, no, definitely, because it just makes your life easier. Yeah. It makes their life easier, and it makes the output of the content better. Because if you build a rapport with them, they're just going to be comfortable with you. And I think that's the biggest part. You're going to touch on interviews later. That's the biggest part of, to me, interviewing as well. Because I did some work behind the camera, and I did some interviews at Media Day as well. And it's just like, if they're comfortable, if you can make them laugh, if you relate to them on some topic about their family or their hobby beforehand, they're going to be like, oh, he's just a pretty normal dude. Like, he's not some media guy that's just like, oh, come on, give us the deepest, darkest fear. Like,
let's touch on that while we're at that point, because I actually posted about LinkedIn. I posted about
weird double handling. Post about LinkedIn.
No,
that makes sense.
Sorry, no, posted about this on LinkedIn during the week about making athletes comfortable on camera.
I feel you're literally like on LinkedIn. Boy, LinkedIn is great. Great platform.
Sponsored. But no, interviewing athletes and interviewing talent, you just mentioned it's such a big part of video production and what we do. What do you think makes a good interview? So you mentioned one point about connecting with them and not taking yourself too seriously. Why don't we rattle some more off?
That's a good idea. Well, I think, the connection, the comfortable, or maybe there's like 3 C's: connection, comfortable.
3 C's again. No, I was going to say...
I don't know what the next one is, but it's definitely, those connection and comfortable is definitely the main things that I think of straight away. But what were you going to say?
Not to go one question to the other. So let's reword that. Don't follow the run sheet so strictly that when we're having a good conversation, it's sort of like this, that we've got a run sheet in front of us, but say you just hit a really good point about why you're talking to a certain player, why he writes something on his shoes, and it's a really nice story about something deeper than basketball, and then you're just like, all right, so you're looking forward to versing the New Zealand Breakers on the weekend, and like,
that's a great point.
Like, keep the conversation flowing, because that's when you're going to get the real conversation and the best bits.
I think I was watching something on YouTube the other day where it was exactly like that, where to me, like, if you're listening to a podcast or an interview, sometimes they're the best bits, because it actually flows on from something they're passionate about and something that they're talking about. But it also, like, it kind of makes the conversation go wherever it wants to go, rather than...
And where they want to go, not just where you are meant to take.
And the other part of that is, like, I would hate to be a player on the opposite of the side of the camera and feeling like that person interviewing me doesn't care at all. Yeah. Like, if you've got it might just feel like it's a checklist. Like you said, like, tell me about your family, and they tell you a really cool story about their son. And then they're like, they kind of give it back to you, and you're just like, round 1 will be fun.
Yeah.
Like, well, I just told you about my life story.
The people and I've seen this multiple times, where they're opening up to you in that scenario, that situation, and you're literally looking at your phone like this.
Yeah, I know.
And you're just like deadpan, like, cool, yeah, sounds good. And it's just like such a way, like, you're never going to get people to open up that way. And it's tough, because it is a bit nerve-wracking, particularly if you haven't had much experience, but it's important. Let them control a bit of the conversation.
I think that's hard. It is hard, because you don't want to be that person on the other side of the interview where you're like going after that like question does die off. You do want to have something in the back of your mind, but again, you can almost just follow it up with a simple answer, a simple thing for them to bounce back on, and then you can move on to the different question.
And you can even stop. Like, interviews are always edited. If you stop and just be like, you could literally be like, that was really insightful. Thanks for sharing. All right. So the next question I've got, like, you can stop
editing. Power of editing. It actually doesn't matter. You make it seem so much smoother.
The other point, the other point, just to wrap up, your original point was on game day, because those players are connecting with you and actually know you from media day, or you form some sort of bond. I reckon they're more likely to look at your camera and actually give you something, particularly if it's like down the tunnel or pre-game, post-game.
Yeah, no. Definitely.
As opposed to some random trying to get a shot. If they know you, you're going to get bits of gold by them just like, even just allowing you to walk with them.
Well, it's like, it's the whole thing about it's all about who you know networking-wise. It's all about who you know in this space as well, because you're right. If you see a familiar face, and everyone does it inside or outside of work, if you see a familiar face, you're automatically like more warm and bubbly.
Yeah, you know why they're there. You know what they're doing,
and they're just people. The amount of times they're like, when I first got to the NBL, and even other instances with athletes and stuff, like that time me and Michael met Novak Djokovic like really quickly, but you kind of hold them on this pedestal, like, oh, like what?
Do you
remember? Is he going to judge me? Like if I say how are you the wrong way? Like I don't know. They're literally just people.
Yeah, I remember he was one that I actually feel like he gave off a very normal energy.
I don't remember too much about him, honestly. I think he was.
He's like posing and doing those shots in front of camera, but we were sort of getting behind the scenes. But I feel like I remember him being quite laid back,
chill. Quite calm actually.
And sometimes you sort of get this impression that you're going to give off this, like the whole vibe is going to be a bit cold in that room. But
whole vibe.
Oh yeah,
not for him, but some not for him, but some athletes you're like, oh, they're a bit whatever. But then you meet them and you're like, oh, you're actually completely different.
Yeah,
which is really refreshing.
Yeah, it is. All right, cool. Anything else on your NBL Media Day?
No,
highlights,
I think that's
lowlights.
I think that's just definitely the best part. Using the FX6, that was cool.
Oh yeah, new camera. How was it?
It was very good. I didn't like a lot of the time. I enjoyed. There was only 1 or 2 times where I went handheld for like we did some clinics with kids and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But the most of the time was on the tripod. But the handheld stuff, it's amazing that little grip that comes with it. These ones don't have it, but the grip that comes with the cameras like FX6, it just makes you feel.
You wouldn't be used to that.
You know, I've literally never used something like that, and then when I did, you put your hand in it, and you're like, oh.
Did you go shoulder or holding?
No, it's just. Well, I don't think with FX6 like there's still it's like a bigger camera, but I don't think it's like a.
No, because we used to do that, Carlton. Because you can. I think when I say shoulder, just idiots. No, because
really,
if you want a shot that's like eye height as opposed to like here, it's actually quite comfortable. Anyway, you can try it next time.
Yeah, that might make sense.
Yeah.
No, just the grip and the.
I usually go one-handed shots.
The plays are really tall. No, it did feel good. Confidence.
Who was the biggest asshole on Media Day? I'm kidding.
Asshole.
I was joking. I meant like give us some goss on the player.
My NBL colleagues are awful. No, they're lovely. Media. I will say, these trips are always great. With the people you do them with, like we actually, in all seriousness, have a great crew. And once you're traveling on the road, it can get busy. It can get exhausting, but they are good people and it makes it fun.
It's what brings you closer to your workplace as well, not just the athletes.
Yeah, speaking of making work content better, work production better.
Yeah, true.
Bonding.
Well, it's the same theory. Right, isn't it?
Let's move on.
Apologies about that.
Speaking of, this segues really well into my next point because I'm burning out from Michael talking about Media Day, but I just wanted to touch quickly
It's your topic.
Yeah, I know. True. I just wanted to touch quickly on burning out in this industry because I think it's
No, I was like the lead in. So what made you think of this? Are you burning out?
No, I'm actually not. Because the season's coming up and I'm getting 2 weeks off for my wedding. So even if I was, great.
You're taking 2 weeks off?
Yeah, I think. Damn. Yeah, I am.
You got a wedding?
You think you have to approve it or something? You're getting married. No,
we'll talk about this offline.
You see it a lot on threads and people talking about even if it was like entrepreneurial. I think entrepreneurial setup. And not being the 9-to-5 setup, like you see people being like, wow, this is really hard to manage. But I think just specifically in the sport industry and content industry, if you overlap those things, burning out is like a big part of it. So I don't know, do you have any tips or things? Because I've got some, but just to somehow avoid that or somehow keep the momentum flowing.
I think we could borderline do a whole episode on this.
Maybe we should.
I think we bank this because I think we've both worked in sport for 5, 6, 7+ years all up each. We've got 15 years combined. Why don't we we'll do an episode on working in sport club and leagues, and because you're right, there is such a. I always sort of laugh at it in a funny way, because it's ironic that it is a dream job for a lot of people. It's an amazing job, but there is this vicious cycle of turnover because of burnout
and always being online and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's constant. It's just that's why there's so much turnover in sport. So I mean, we can talk about now. Or what do you reckon?
I reckon quick points to tease that episode.
Just be totally aware that you will burn out. So like almost like know that it's coming. So take the steps now to figure out, hey, I want to be here for 5+ years. Talk to your manager, talk to whoever around you to be like, I know this happens. I know it's high turnover. Even for us, I'll use my example at Carlton. Like, we were very good. The video producer team at, like, if you work game day, you definitely get a day off no matter what.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's good. Yeah, I think I would just say put yourself first somehow. Like, I know it's hard. I know, like, you're doing this stuff. Like me, it's like, I'm speaking from experience and myself. Like, you do this job because you love it. You're really passionate about the league. But you also just have to realize it's like a sport league, and you are a human. You are above that, even though it's hard to do that. So just things like time in lieu, things like going for a walk, walking away from the screen helps a heap. Even if you feel like in that moment you're just like, damn, I can't. Like, I've got to get this stuff done. Yeah. Just do it. Your work will be more better and productive and efficient when you get back.
Yeah. Two quick points while we're on it. I mean,
we can't do the episode now.
Well, two quick ones. One, we always used to say this, you're not saving lives in a sporting club. Yes. It actually doesn't matter that much. And two, it's really hard in sport, particularly being early on, because there's a natural part of us that thinks it's your dream job, so you're trying to impress. You're trying to impress early, so you do extra. You're like, oh, that's not going to be me burning out. I'm gonna be the difference.
You're in that prove yourself mode, which I think is normal for any industry. But let's jump to your week, Michael. Did you like those 2 points?
I love them, and I think we can elaborate more on the burnout and working in sport, because it's almost worth a full episode, because I think a lot of people would be interested in it.
I think so. That's an important part.
My week. So I had a personal brand photo shoot and video shoot yesterday. I loved it. It's one of those ones. So working with Sean, Big Sean. I don't know why I call him Big Sean.
Sean, what's his brand? Gym?
SRA, is it gym and therapy? But anyway, he helps athletes, works with athletes, WNBL, NBL, a lot of names we know, either like general gym and fitness or just recover from injury is his thing. But my point, so I'm going to be working with Sean a fair bit in terms of helping his business but personal brand and brand management, which for both of us is very exciting, because it's an element of content that we're quite passionate and intrigued by for the future, particularly in terms of helping people with their brands to achieve their goals. It's exciting.
I think it is exciting because it covers a lot of bases of what we do. Like you sometimes we're trying to, like, if you can put an umbrella of what we do, brand management is kind of in a content sense is what we are good at.
Yeah,
because it covers everything.
And it goes. I guess it's a good little tie-in into, like, we're content creators, we make videos and photos, but what me and you both do, there's always a purpose behind it. There's always a strategy as to what we're trying to achieve. You don't just make a pretty video for the sake of it.
Yeah, there's a purpose behind it. There's an intent. Yeah, it's to build your brand, build the profile.
So anyway, my point. So the shoot yesterday, we did. This was like the launch photo shoot and launch interview to reintroduce Sean, talk about why he's different, what drives him to do what he does, and he was really good on camera. A bit of a nod to testing things with new people you're working with. Like, so I started off, these were videos purely for social. So to our discussion last week about portrait or landscape, what did I film in?
Don't tell me you shot in portrait only.
Portrait 4K, and I played with it.
It's interesting.
Loved it, because in a real landscape, you've got this nice wide shot of him sitting there in the background of a nice gym, and you can punch in a lot because you've got that 4K. You don't have to lose.
Wait, you said you shot in portrait 4K?
Yes. Different, eh? So vertical 4K.
This is where we don't always see it. I don't think I'd do that, but anyway.
That's fine.
That's fine. That's why it's good to have the discussion.
But when you see the results, you'll be
going to turn out so bad.
No, anyway, so I put it in Premiere yesterday, and I loved how much I could zoom in and out, because I didn't have two cameras, I needed one camera. So you've got that flexibility of really going tight for a nice, if he's talking about something really nice and serious, he zoomed in, or you've got that nice wide shot. But my point to why I first started saying this was we started off, I said, Sean, I'm going to stand to the side of you with a small light, and I'm going to put a behind the scenes video up of this, of how the little setup and the day, because it's a nice little recap. But my original thought was I had this little LED light that I sort of wanted to help the shadows on his face look a bit more dramatic. So I was like here, and I'm like, I'm going to ask you questions, and you deliver them to camera.
Okay.
Did not work.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that's not your final. Yeah.
And that not a reflection of Sean. He was more comfortable talking to a person in interview style. So we started doing it. Wasn't working. We flicked it up to an interview. So I stood behind the camera with the light on top of the camera. Amazing. And it just goes to show, like, test what works with different people, because I think I'd be exactly the same as Sean. Talking to the camera is hard and awkward at the start.
I was going to say one question and then a comment followed by a question, I should say. But I think that it's a good example of don't be afraid to interrupt something if it's not working.
Yes.
Because you want the final output to be great for them, most importantly, and yourself as well. Like, it's a reflection on you. Don't be afraid. But how did you actually stop Sean and be like, I don't think this is working?
Probably because I could tell that he wasn't enjoying talking to camera. He was stuffing up. He stuffed up a couple of times. Then we sort of both laughed, and he sort of joked. He's like, "Oh, I'm shit at this," and I'm like, "You know what? Like, that's actually on me as well. Let's flick it up, change it up."
Good adjustment. No, I was just curious. Yeah. And you were obviously you were saying how much you actually enjoyed the interviewing side of it.
Yeah,
Some of the points you took from it.
Yeah, it probably goes back to your point. So I guess for your viewers' background, Darren and I obviously both started. We never really conducted interviews until
Always
the last
behind the
few
camera.
years. It's just literally just the camera setup. We're filming, person interviewing, but it's funny how these things progress, because you don't really need two people, in my opinion.
No, I mean,
you did the whole NBL
I was going to
Media.
say the media day, the last day only, when there was 4 teams, it was just me in the room doing the camera and interviewing. But I think you're going to touch on this as well, but maybe you wouldn't. But what I found, you do it so much, as in behind the camera, you kind of get a better understanding of how you'd actually do the interview and how athletes feel towards it.
Yeah, and no, so I really enjoyed it with Sean. So we just had a normal interview. First time working together in this setting, so it was really actually good just to properly chat to him. And some of the things we went completely off topic, but it warmed him up.
Yeah.
So so we went through a background of his brand, himself, his specific athletes he's worked with over the journey, and really, really good results, I reckon. Like, when we actually get it, but the actual content itself, in terms of what he said, I think I did pretty good.
No, I mean, you came back saying you. Like, when I spoke to you on the phone, you sounded like it went really well, and you were happy with, like you said, he spoke really well. He said the whole setup was comfortable. And if you walk away, both of you feeling comfortable, it makes a world of difference.
Exactly. It's just one of those shoots that you walk away from feeling motivated and being like, this is like why we do it. Like, this is what drives me and what motivates me. It's the actual shoots, which you always know, but sometimes, like, if you have a couple of weeks or a week of mainly editing, you borderline forget that the shoot's the part that drives you. Yeah,
no, that's a good point. You need to do both, but 4 key don'ts. I know you've got that written down there. You want to touch on them from the interview?
This is I sort of led that nicely into these 4 key don'ts were the interview things that I brought up with you. So so don'ts.
As in, this is 4 key don'ts for someone behind the camera, or 4 key don'ts for someone
for the interview bit. So what we spoke about, how to make people uncomfortable on camera. These are 4 don'ts. So
as the interviewer.
So don't do this. Don't do these things to. So do these things to make them comfortable, but the 4.
No, you're doing well.
Yeah, we might need a bit of chopping here. The 4 points are: 1, don't take yourself too seriously. So this is again being the interviewer. 2, don't treat them abnormally. Again, they're just humans. Don't strictly follow the run sheet. We touched on that before, and this is what I meant before. I think I had this in my mind. That's why I said it to you.
Oh yeah, no, that's cool.
And number 4, don't control the entire conversation. Let it naturally flow, and ask them. Hot tip at the end of the interview that I've seen done very well. If you've spoken about everything, literally flat out ask them, is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to talk about?
Call. I think that's a great call, because there's been a mountain of times where athletes will be like, well, actually, I think it's more like you hit at the right nerve and they're like, oh, I've been meaning to want to talk about this.
Yeah.
And they almost voluntarily bring it up, and they will if you ask that question. Yeah. So smart.
I'll give you a really good example of this. I've done some work with the AFL Players Association. There was an ex-Gold Coast Sun and Geelong Cat AFL player.
Are you trying to, names not allowed on here? Or you
No, I mean, Zach Smith, I don't know if a lot of people know it. But anyway, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to the story. He he's retired as a footy player. He's in the coffee industry. He owns his own coffee business.
Okay.
At the end of the interview, the interviewer said, "Is there anything else you'd like to add?" He probably had nothing and sort of thought, "Oh no, there's nothing to add." But he literally laughed, looked down the barrel of the camera, and then delivered a really organic coffee. I forgot his coffee brand. .com website. Go and get it. It was really nice, organic, and that was the first bit of the whole interview I used.
Yeah,
because it's the most simple hook.
It's the most
organic.
Yeah, it's the most them as well. Like if the rest, like you said, the rest of the conversation, you're asking them questions about what you want to know. Pretty much. Why don't you give it up to them? That's a great tip. Great job.
And that was and that saw the most personality. Exactly. And that wouldn't have happened if the interviewer, Jenna from AFL Players Association, shout out, I'm sure you're watching, but if she didn't ask anything else you'd like to add.
It also relates back to showing that you care. Like open up to them. It's like, hey, this person across the camera actually cares about my interest and what I want to get from this interview rather than me. But nicely done, Michael.
Thank you. That was a good end to the week. That was yesterday, and we're going to get some good results. We also did. I didn't touch on it too much, but we did photo shoot there as well.
Oh yes, I saw some of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that result. So for a bit of background, we just hired out a great little gym space. It was described as a New York style loft. So nice natural light from the rafters. Okay. It's very nice in Moorabbin, but it gave some good little opportunities to sort of set up some shots, not quite portrait photography, but some shots that we probably wouldn't typically do in our day-to-day sporting world.
New York loft. I like the sound of that.
I know. I think that's just like some keywords that get people's attention. It's probably not quite too New Yorky, but it worked.
It sells you. It's how you market it. That's a wrap, Mike. I'm happy with what we talked about today.
Well, I'm glad you're happy.
Actually, no. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Oh, he's putting it in play. There's one thing actually. So I want to know. Obviously, what we're doing here is targeting the audience might be beginner to intermediate videographers or photographers wanting to upskill and basically dominate their craft. So if that is you, I want to hear from you because we are intrigued and curious about providing some sort of education service, some sort of community-based format where we actually... It's a work in progress, and it's an early expression of interest, but it's almost like a mix of mentorship and coaching where we have a community that we actually help you upskill and provide you the resources to do so.
I think it's, I mean, what you said before, like we have that, you say 15 years, roughly estimating in your head, but we have those.
I mean, in total, it might be more because like we were editing videos since.
True. Yeah, I mean, we've had different experiences in profession. What the hell? No, we weren't. I was. No, we have had that experience in like. There's so many different settings, like whether it's Carlton, NBL, freelance, like I was gonna say lesser leagues, but like lesser companies in terms of content and building. But we have had quite a lot of experience, so I think we can really. And it's not to say we know everything. It's actually, I was reading something the other day. It's a great segue. You actually learn more or a heap by teaching.
Yes. Yep. No, that is something.
You were reading the same book?
No, I've heard that before, and it's a great reminder because I think that is I resonate with that a lot.
Well, someone was like, if you literally want to learn about space, like tell someone you're going to teach it to them. Like teach someone about it because then it forces you to take it in differently in the research. I found that quite interesting.
And maybe that's part of why we're so intrigued by it.
Yeah. Anyway, exactly. If you're a young creative or not even a young creative, just someone who wants to learn more about the space, I think Michael's been talking about it a lot. He's pretty motivated by it. So
well, I think it's like another level of 2 times creative because we've obviously got we produce videos and make videos for high performance clients, but there's that side of us that loves helping people, and maybe that is part of it that we actually want to learn more ourselves. So you learn more by teaching.
It's also the community feel. Like you bring everyone in. This isn't just a business where it's just like a front facing, business that you don't have that much interaction with people. That brings in an actual community and like just a working group discussions.
It is. And so what I'll do is I'll put a expression of interest link in the bio of this video.
Yeah,
I've pushed it out on socials last week, but I'll do it once more. But I just want to hear from you on whether it's something you'll be interested in, basically, because it's the early works of it. And I think what's good with these type of things, I'm sure you've heard it, but when people are creating something or creating a new offer, just simply straight out ask your audience what they want.
Yeah,
don't try to guess what
it's a good idea.
They want. Just ask them. So that's what I'm doing. What do you want?
What do you want from us?
But no, it's exciting. It's something that has taken my interest recently, but of yours as well. It's something we talked about probably in the first couple of months at 2 Times Creative, but we were like,
no, true.
All right, let's just focus on one thing first. But
yeah, you won't shut up about it. I'm like, I get it. No, it's actually really cool when you find. No, it's cool when you find a piece of motivation.
Do you mean
you
now?
No, not now. As in over the past week or whatever. Yeah. But these new motivations are exciting. So take us away, Michael. You're our intro and outro man. So I'm done.
Thank you, call you hostess. No, thank you for tuning in. Episode 5, I think. We're 5 episodes in already.
Looks that way.
Judging by the run sheet, we appreciate you tuning in. Pass this on to a friend. Link it to someone who you think might enjoy it, that might be a young videographer or photographer themselves that might want a bit of upskilling or education. So thank you for tuning in, Darren. You've been great as always.
Thank you.
Love you and goodbye.